Very good afternoon to you and welcome to Niger Delta Today. My name is Xavier Robert. It's the weekend, and what better way to crown the week with, if not the happenings in Edo State? Of course, Governor Mondo Pebo marked his first anniversary with a message anchored on restoration, accountability, and a renewed sense of public trust from infrastructure and security to health, education, and economic reforms. Now, the administration says it has laid the foundation for a new era of practical governance. But 1 year in office is not just about celebration, it's also a moment for honest evaluation. Are the reforms taking root? Are the promises measurable? And has Edo State truly turned the corner? We'll look at the achievements, the challenges, and the expectations as the Okpebholo administration enters its second year. Well, also today, Big Brother Niger may be entertainment, but it also doubles as a cultural laboratory. Every season, you see personalities, values, and backgrounds from across Nigeria collide. And for many viewers in the Niger Delta, season 10 was a moment of pride, with several of Niger Deltans taking up space on that national stage. So today, we're also examining what that representation meant. Did it reflect who we truly are? Did it challenge old stereotypes or reinforce them? And what does it tell us about the growing influence of Niger Delta youth culture in mainstream Nigerian entertainment? With that said, let's bring in someone uniquely positioned to start this conversation on the Edo State government celebration of the first year anniversary of Governor Mondo Okpebholo. Thank you very much for joining us. Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Edo State Governor, Bugie Okhuemoi. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time. Well, let's start from the very exciting one, which is, of course, 1 year into the administration of Governor Mondo Okpebholo. So far, how significant is this particular celebration, especially when you look at the trends currently in Edo State?
It's been a government that has been very transparent, a government that has adopted the bottom-up approach, where instead of taking the top-bottom approach, where you tell the people what you want to do for them without considering what you want to do for them. Is that what they really need? Is that what bothers them the most? Is that what's priority for them? He focuses more on leveraging on the bottom-up approach. I mean, like I usually say when I have an opportunity to be on platforms like this, during the campaigns, one of the major factors that the opposition used in criticizing him was that he wasn't talking so much. Apart from the fact that he's a humble, soft-spoken, quiet person, more of an active and action person, he spent his campaigns doing more of engagements with the communities and the local populace and finding out what their pain points were, what their issues were, what are the things that bother you. So it wasn't just about going on campaigns and telling people this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do. The things he was to do were actually more like promises to sort out the things that the people spoke to him about. And if you look at the plethora and the gamut of achievements that this administration has gained in the last 1 year, people are surprised at how he's able to do so much in just 1 year. What it basically is that he has spent the last 1 year keeping to the promises he made. So areas where he went to where they told him, this road has been a big problem for us. It doesn't help us, access the city easily. Because of that, cost of transportation is expensive. Cost of goods are expensive. We need this road attended to. Immediately he came in, he had his work clearly cut out for him. Yes, he has his agenda, the SHINE agenda, which represents security, healthcare, infrastructure development, natural resources, energy, and extractive industries, and of course, education and empowerment. That's the government's framework, but it's largely built on solving the solutions that the people complain about. And in the last 1 year, it's been amazing. In security, so much has been done. In healthcare, so much has been done. I mean, there is a construction site now due to the industrial revolution that the government has started. So if I have the time, I can start reading out some of them, but if you probably have something else to ask, I'll answer. But it's been 1 year of a breath of fresh air. People have a government that understands them, that is looking out for their interest, that can relate with very, very comfortably and easily.
All right, Mr. Okhuemoi. Well, the governor described his first year as a season of restoration, From your vantage point, how would you say this translates to the feeling of the Edo people currently when they look back at the activities of the governor in the last 1 year?
Thank you. When he says the government of restoration, what the government is trying to explain is that it's been a year of giving back control and government to the people compared to in the past when control and government and interest was more about an elitist government, a profit-minded government that seemed to be more focused on empowering a corporate feel, a corporate and elitist feel. He has returned that control back to the people. And I give you an example. The last government was a government that, basically almost ran down the civil service. If you check the record, some interventions were made in reforming the civil service, which we recognize. But what beats our imagination as a government is how you put in so much effort, like you claim, to reform the civil service, and then you leave them redundant. That was a government that tried using consultants and non-state actors, people from outside of the state. The whole civil service was being run by consultants. All of the ministries had consultants attached to them that designed policies, that executed, and all of that. That made that government's delivery very opaque. It wasn't transparent. It wasn't above board. The interests of the people were not promoted. Were not the focus of their interventions. We had a civil service that was basically not doing anything. Consultants came into billions of naira a week for the consultancy fee, kickbacks, and all of that. The governor has remedied that. The civil service has disengaged all of that. The civil service is well equipped. We have a civil service that is motivated, that is trained to deliver whatever solutions that we require. This government believes in local solutions for local problems, using local talents. There's really nothing that wants to be done in the state that we don't have a civil service that is capable of handling it. So the people are back in control of government, and it's been producing results. It's been producing results for them. Over 255 kilometers of roads at various stages of completion. About 60 kilometers already completed and already being used. Critical infrastructure. 2 new flyover bridges have been built in Edo State. One completed by April 2026, and the rest by later in the year or early 2027. Welfareistic initiatives and innovations are being brought out, things that touch people directly. Those state students now have access to getting bursary payments from the government. This is something that students have cried for several years. This government has made that happen. Pensioners whose backlogs of gratifications have been held for some time, over R1 billion was released for the first tranche of payments. Over R1 billion has been given to small businesses to access interest-free loans. Schools are being renovated. The last administration built a lot of public hype around its intervention in education. But when we came in, we found out that the focus was more on, in quotes, the curriculum, which even at that was still suspect and had a lot of lapses. But how good is your curriculum if the children are staying in schools where the roofs are leaking, where children are sitting on blocks, are sitting on the floor to study, where schools, you put some little efforts into renovating a school, and the school does not have a fence, does not have security, does not have water. That's the facility and the condition of the school is as important as well as the manpower. This government has renovated over 68 schools, top quality fence, water, furniture, over 68 schools, and still counting. Several teachers have been engaged. Apart from the ones that the government employed from scratch, that should be about 2,000 teachers. The last administration, still working under the auspices of consultants, engaged about 5,000 teachers on ad hoc basis. They were not earning civil servant salaries. They were not part of the civil service. So it was like they were doing the job of civil servants, but they were getting commensurate remuneration. The government has absorbed those 5,000 teachers into the civil service, and they are happier. So welfareistic direct, even our opponents, their voices grew a bit quieter when the government absorbed the teachers, because many of them had neighbors, relatives, mothers and sisters who were part of that arrangement and benefited. So it's been 1 year of people-driven policies delivered practically, without bureaucracy, without technicalities, and the evidence is
All right,
for
still
everybody
within
to see.
these celebrations, the administration claims that it inherited a state burdened by debt, insecurity, and failing infrastructure. How accurate would this picture be, especially when oppositions are of the opinion that this is political witch hunt?
I mean, one of the biggest problems the government inherited was the security situation. If you Google Edo State and Benin City, before this administration came in, I can assure you that a large portion of the results that will come back will be related to callings, and I mean that was terrible. We lived in a state in the past administration where I think on two occasions, I stand corrected, at least I know of one certainly, and I think I remember a second one, where armed robbers, held the city. I think that was Bugie Okhuemoi in Edo Central, held the town hostage for hours, robbed about 6 times, killed a lot of people, and left without being caught. We came from an administration where the urban areas were, I mean, crime infested. It wasn't safe. It wasn't. Today, the insecurities we deal with are largely restricted to specific rural areas, and they are largely tied to the banditry issue, which is a national problem. During the last administration in Benin City, it was as bad as the state chairman of the party at that time, the PDP, was kidnapped just in front of his house, and they had to pay ransom to retrieve their own state chairman in the state. I mean, the government couldn't protect its chairman. How much security could they offer? So cultism was the major one. And when the governor came in, he hit the ground running. He reached out to the leaders of these groups and explained to them that it wasn't going to be business as usual. Their excuse was always that the boys who do these things, are not their people. They don't. And the government said, I'm holding you accountable for the actions of your people. And the riot act was read. The governor, being a proactive person, guessed that they may not keep to whatever agreements he had with them. So he went to the State House of Assembly to review the anti-kidnapping and the anti-cultism law, to provide stiffer punishments for people who perpetrate those crimes, and to also widen the scope of eligibility. So the people that this new law captures now are not just those who carry out the actual act, even those who aid it. It was planned on your property. You were aware and you did nothing about it. You were the one who provided resources for them to move. You gave money, you gave bullets. When they were arrested, you were the one who came out to ensure that they didn't get justice. All of those people are captured, and it's been very evident that the governor has been serious. Properties of people linked to violent crimes have been brought down. And to make it more effective, which is what was the final solution to the problem, a special task force was set up on anti-cultism. These people are from the society, they are from the communities. So they know these people. The people who commit these crimes are not aliens, they are not from outside, they are people who live in the city. So with that task force that is more on ground, they've been able to totally meet cultism in the board. Like I said, the only challenging security situation now is that one that has to do with the banditry, which, like I said, is a national issue that is transport. I mean, it goes across borders, and the government is making serious efforts in doing that. The security agencies have been equipped with over 60 brand new Hilux vehicles and communication gadgets. Over 400 motorbikes have been provided to patrol the forest borders. When these guys come from the deep forest, they commit their crimes on the highways and they take their victims away. With motorbikes constantly patrolling the periphery of the forest, it's harder for them to come out. And in any situation, if they can come out at all, I mean, the response time is faster. Immediately it happens before they can go far. Mobility is able to get them. So that has totally dealt with the security issue.
All right. Well, now that we are talking security, I'd like you to break it down a little bit more, especially when persons that are highly placed are fingered as being involved in nefarious activities like cultism. How does it further affect the work that the current administration is doing towards ensuring that it is effectively tackling the issue of cultism, which of course leads to other issues like kidnapping, as we've been hearing in the news in Edo?
Cultism has been dealt with. I mean, go and check when was the last time you heard anything about cultism. Like I said earlier on, when the governor engaged the leaders of those groups, he made it clear that he was going to hold the leadership responsible. With this governor, nobody is above the law. If you see the way he has approached corruption, suspending some staff, some key appointees, investigating some who have come out, to be, come out clean. It shows you that the governor, nobody is above the law with this administration. And it's as serious as one of the organizations that, I mean, that's prominent in this space, in this cultivating space. Their national headquarters in Edo State had to be, their international, not national, their global headquarters in Edo State was brought down, because investigations have shown that it was culpable and things like that. So there's nobody that is above the law. Once your property or once you be found to be culpable under this administration of disturbing the peace and making life unbearable for people, the government takes action, and that has been really safe. Really safe. We still hear one or two incidences, but like I always say, there's no society, even globally, that is 100% crime free. Even though there'll be no need for the police, there'll be no need for the other security agencies. As long as you have deviants, people who choose to go in opposite direction of normal culture, you have behaviors like this. But the question is, one, what's the propensity? For one single crime incident that happens, 1 million, millions of people went about their businesses safely, got back home. Nightlife is thriving in those states, and businesses are thriving. The state has hosted 2 major events this year. The APC Progressive Governors Forum, where all the APC governors came to Edo State with their supporters, with their aides. We also have the South-South Governors Forum. Several events have been held in Edo State without issue. So Edo State is very safe, very, very safe. And the governor is constantly working with security agencies to ensure that safety is sustained. I also need to mention that the governor's welfare interventions in agriculture, in several areas, construction, has provided gainful employment for a lot of our young people. So that has also distracted them away from crime. The Ministry of Education has been very, very active in reorientating our young people, helping them see that there's no gain in crime. And we've been seeing that effect in the overall security situation in the state.
All right, Mr. Okhuemoi. Well, in education and health now, I'd also like some enlightenment regarding what the specific work that is going on currently in the last 1 year. Let's talk about the reforms that are aimed at touching everyday lives in Edo State. Is the result still largely structural, or it is really getting the much feel that the people of Edo State would hope to have at this time in Edo State? Talking about healthcare and education, what specific work is Governor Monday Okpebholo investing in that aspect?
In healthcare, like I mentioned earlier on, the government is running on the Shine agenda. H there is healthcare, and so much has gone on. Direct impact. Out of all the wards in Edo State, about 18 wards did not have a primary healthcare center. Those centers have been provided already. Over 61 primary healthcare centers have been renovated and equipped with resources and logistics that they need to be able to meet the needs of the people. In Edo State, if you recall, there was an outbreak of diphtheria, which was largely predicted to have very, very implicative consequences. The Ministry of Health in Edo State have been very, very proactive, and it's shocking to even a lot of observers how Edo State was able to effectively manage the outbreak of diphtheria without it becoming something of concern. A very major one that the government have also done in terms of, and one of the major areas we give credit to the government of Senator Monday Okpebholo for, is his very healthy and collaborative relationship with the federal government. If your focus is on your people, if your focus is on improving the lives of your people, whatever, any stakeholder that will contribute to you achieving that, it just means you must build a healthy relationship. Compared to the last administration that was very combative, that was very confrontational, we have a governor who's very collaborative. I mean, look at very harmonious and beautiful relationship the government has with the palace. Same thing with the federal government, and we've seen so much of those benefits, come to Edo State in terms of federal assistance. And one of those areas was a number of obstetric and fistula centers were established by the federal government, and the one for the South-South was, domiciled in Edo State. This was 2 years ago. Now, the Edo State government had some support and contributions to make for that facility, which was going to address a very, very major problem that affect our mothers and our sisters. Edo State government was supposed to make some provisions. There was some support he was supposed to give for the center to take off. I mean, Out of all the states in East Delta, we're fortunate to have gotten that. That's right. Imagine what that does for our educational system. Imagine what our health system, I beg your pardon. Imagine what it does for health tourism and all of that. For 2 years, that center couldn't take off because of the uncooperative attitude of the last administration, which wasn't in good terms with the center. And that center couldn't take off. Within a few days of this governor coming into office, all of the requirements that was needed from the state was provided, and that center has been established and it's already, actively running. The governor has donated ultrasound equipment to several hospitals and equipped the medical training centers who work with this. So several things have happened in health that time may not permit it to go to. Education is one of our most active spaces. Schools have been renovated. The manpower has been seriously boosted. About 7,000 teachers, those adopted from the ad hoc arrangement and those newly appointed. Our teachers are more excited. The Ambusalim University, which is the state-owned university, got an increase in subvention from 41 million that the last administration was giving to run a small city, because the university environment is like a small town, and they were getting 41 million, while the consultants that were engaged to run the school, because in that time the school didn't run with a government council, which was strange to an academic situation like that. The governor has instituted the government council and has increased that subvention from 41 million to 500 million naira monthly. The school is running very well. And medical students, about 128 medical students who have graduated but couldn't be inducted because of some major issues. The governor came in and within weeks that was sorted out. A 500-bed hostel is being built. 1,600 lecture theater, capacity lecture theaters are being built. So much in education, so much in health that time may not permit us to itemize.
All right. Well, Mr. Bugie, as we begin to wind down this session, the many leaders during the events for the celebration had commented on the governor's ambience, how he is, how he approaches governance, and his administration style of leadership. They consider it calm, yet focused and deliberate about execution of projects and giving back to the people of Edo State. However, there are also dissenting voices, we will look at critics who argue that the administration is still slow in implementing people-oriented, centered programs. Do you think this is a fair assessment of the administration?
Yeah. Like I always say, opposition have a job to do. That's to oppose. For the ones that are objective, they oppose objectively. For the ones that are not, they cook up narratives that are not accurate. I dare say, and many people share the same belief with me, that very few administrations, if any, have as much record to show in 1 year as Governor Bugie Okhuemoi has to show. So much has happened in a year that people are amazed at how much that has been done. And that's why we see the commendations you talked about for several quarters. At the event on Wednesday, a documentary, a 30 minutes documentary, we didn't even do justice to a lot of what the governor had done, was aired. And then after that, we had goodwill messages. Almost every speaker that climbed on that podium expressed shock and surprise at how much had been done in just 1 year. So anybody who says the governor is slow or the governor is not being realistic. Talking about infrastructure, I remember it was something you raised earlier on, and it was a thought that I wanted to share. The last government had a nickname. The last governor had, amongst the several nicknames, had one that was called Wait and See. That was largely in his first tenure. And it was largely on the sentiments that was campaigned with for him to get re-election. And where did that nickname come from? In those days, we'd wake up in the morning, you pass a road at night when you're on your way home, and the road has issues, the road is bad, and then you get home. And by the time you are coming out in the morning to go to work, the road has been fixed. So everybody call it wake and see. You wake and you see. The biggest problem, the biggest challenge that the people have to be that Governor Okhuemoi seriously to solve is the issue of the state of our roads. And one begins to ask, what happened to all those wake and see roads that were done at that time? The same way we woke and we saw the roads is the same way we woke one day and we didn't see the roads again. So it's still an extension of the waking and seeing. There was a huge deficit in our road infrastructure, and the government has come in strongly to address that situation. We have a very major road in Edo State called the Sapre Road. That's a road, it's a federal road that connects, the South from Edo to Delta to Bayelsa to Port Harcourt, like that. And that road, the Benin portion of that road was gone, was totally gone. It wasn't motorable. People complained every day. It was a hell, community in that road. And when the pressure got to the last administration, their response was to put a billboard there saying, this is a federal road, bear with us. This governor doesn't operate like that. This governor is focused on his people. It doesn't matter if it's a federal road. The majority of the commuters on this road are my people, and they suffer it more. So that collaborative approach was engaged with the federal government, and permission was given for the state to use its resources to fix the road, and a reimbursement to be worked out. Let me mention critically that this same offer was given to the last administration. I remember the Minister of Works, Engineer Mai, he was saying that time that he had told the governor that even if it's to send me a text message that you want to do it, I can give you approval through text message. Of course, we know that there will be processes, but he was just trying to express how easily he could have agreed to that. But for some reason, that offer wasn't taken. We have a governor who's passionate about the people and has taken that offer. And if you go through Sapero today, you'll be shocked at how much work has been done in terms of the quality of road that is being done. So that huge deficit of roads in our road infrastructure is something the governor has been confronting. And in just about 4 months of one dry season, of course, during the rains, it's difficult to keep on those projects. But in just one season of dry, one dry season of that, about 4 or 5 months, this governor has finished over 60 kilometers of roads. And we have, like I said, in total over 255 that's still ongoing. So anybody that says the governor has been slow is not being objective. Doesn't have good intentions, and it's not being fair-minded. What this governor, Monday Okpebholo, has achieved in 1 year is, surpasses. It's comparable to anywhere that something like that has.
All right, Mr. Bugie. Well, the governor emphasizes accountability in his administration, and it begs the question: what mechanisms have actually been put in place to build trust and ensure this transparency that the governor speaks of, especially when you look at administrations who are usually accused of not being optimal when they talk about accountability in government policies and how it goes about discharging it. How effective is this administration achieving that issue of accountability that the governor speaks of?
Accountability is built on several foundations. One is trust. The people must trust you. The people must trust that you are accountable to them. And the people trust Governor Okpebholo. He didn't come in with American accents. He didn't come in with Oxford grammar. He came in with his sincere heart. He came in simple. He came in, identifying with the grassroots. And he's been very open with them. He's been very, very available to them. One of the reasons why we see the governor doing several project inspections, apart from ensuring this governor is not the kind of governor that gives you a contract and sits in the office waiting for you to bring papers or reports. As you bring the papers, he goes on the road to check for himself. So apart from the fact that he's ensuring that Edo people's money is well spent and what the money spent on is provided, he also uses those opportunities to engage with the people one-on-one. So there's the trust factor, the people trust him. Secondly, transparency is another foundation on which accountability is built. You must be transparent in your dealings. And that's something this government has done seriously. Our processes are open. One of the challenges, sorry I have to make reference to the past administration because sometimes you need to compare to really have a better idea of the picture. So it's not like we're focusing too much on them, but we need to make comparisons from time to time. We had a situation where with the technocratic government we had before, so many things were modeled up in technicality, so many things were modeled. When consultants operate, how they operate. So a lot of people, the government wasn't transparent. We came into office to realize that so many things they had presented in a certain way were not true. Several projects that the states thought they had stakes in, we found out that they don't have. This government is very, very open, very transparent. Whenever there's an allegation, if you see the way he's approached integrity issues, whenever there's an allegation against a public official or an appointee about graft or anything untoward, it tells that person to step aside so that an independent, body can look and investigate and come back with a report. So transparency is very key. And we have a team, the law has put together a team. It's important that we let people also understand that technically, the government does not run the state technically, in the sense that, the government is in government house. The activities in the health ministry, the activities in works are being driven by people that he has selected. So he runs a very close knit team. There's constant peer review, there's constant evaluation of what we've done, just to ensure that that the government is accountable to the people. So those are several areas that this government has been able to show to the people that it is accountable. It listens, keeps an open door, and things are done much easier and more transparent.
Well, the presence of key figures in Edo State during that one-year celebration also signals some strong political alignment. When you look at the political climate in Edo State now, how stable is it, and how has the government been able to carry opposition along, talking about involving them in government activities and the task ahead?
Politics is the father of governance. Politics gives birth to governance. So for you to have governance, you must first play politics. And for governance to work, you must ensure that you get the political sector and the political space right. The objective of governance is also politics, because after you have worked, in 4 years, you submit your report card to the people to ask for a renewal of mandate, and that process is done through politics. So the government understands, Governor Okpebholo understands the importance of having a very stable political environment. And because of his personality and his nature, very humble, very accommodating, very empathetic, very simple, a man who keeps to agreements, a man who has a high level of integrity, a man who rules with the fear of God, a man of deep faith. The governor has yesterday we had the Thanksgiving service for the 1-year anniversary. Fantastic. So that's the kind of person we're dealing with. And when you have those kind of virtues, when you have a personality like that, it's easier for people to rally around you. And that's what we've seen in the political space. Within the ruling APC, everybody's rallied around the government. Anybody who is suing the APC was at that event the other day and commended the governor on how he has been able to manage the state and manage the party. When you look at the opposition, it's almost totally decimated. Just a few sprinkling of a last man standing are still there. Those who have seen the progressive direction of the governor have moved over to the party. A large number of the opposition who are also more objective, who also are more focused about the people, have also been supportive of the government where they offer support. And of course, they've offered criticisms where they need the criticism should be offered. So, the political climate in the state is very peaceful, very balanced, and it just shows that people have a lot to enjoy in the next
all right.
about 3 years.
Well, one last question before we let you go. 1 year now is down. Okpebholo administration, and the question around its effectiveness in redefining leadership, has it achieved that, or is the real test still ahead? Some people would want to know.
It depends on what you call a test. Governor Okpebholo has only one test to write, and that is to meet the needs and the expectations of the people. He's writing that test, and in 3 years' time now, he will submit his answer sheets to the Edo people, and they will mark it and give him the score we think he deserves. But with what he has done in what I call the first semester, this 1 year, it's been fantastic. So the governor's objective is to please and satisfy the needs of Edo people, and that's the test. That's what matters. That's what he's focused on, and he's done so much to achieve that in the last 1 year. So many things that were planted in this first year, we expect to start germinating by next year, and people will be amazed at the results that they will see. The massive intervention in agriculture is already producing fruits, and by next year you'll be shocked. In the governor's words, he said you'll be shocked at what we'll do with agriculture in 2026, and we're all excited to wait for that. The construction, the projects that have been completed, constructions are ongoing, and by next year we will begin to see many of all those projects come alive. We're expecting the first flyover by April, and several other projects, that we expect to will begin to produce.
All right. Well, indeed, with the much talked about call and clamor for investment in agriculture, it is only natural that any serious administration would take that aspect seriously. Thank you very much, Bugie Okhuemoi, Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Edo State Governor, for speaking to us on Niger Delta Today. We appreciate your time and company.
Thank you very much for having me.